Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Shop Floor Management Seminar here at our Quickbase and Power. I'm Anthony Offredi, the Director of the Manufacturing Customer Advisory Team. I have a panel of experts here with me, and we're going to answer some questions at the end. So with that, let's start introducing ourselves around the panel here. So Jeremy, why don't you go first?
Hi, I'm Jeremy Myer. I'm with NSK Corporation. I've been there about 26 years. I've spent most of my career in manufacturing and process improvement, and I currently am in charge of business systems, which involves Quickbase, and also our product and design validation testing.
Fantastic. Thank you. Gary?
I am Gary Mintchell. I had a career in manufacturing in a whole number of different roles. Became a magazine editor, did that for a number of years. And I'm the founder and chief blogger, actually only blogger at the Manufacturing Connection. I write about applications and technology for manufacturing and production and processes.
Thank you. And lastly, David.
Hello, this is David Bradley. I have 35 years experience in the automotive industry. I spent the last 5 years managing the Quickbase platform for Unipres North America. My experience ranges from manufacturing, purchasing, risk management, program management, engineering. I've done a lot of things in the automotive industry.
Great, thank you. Welcome all of you to our panel here. We're going to have a couple questions. I'm going to ask the group here some of our questions that have been brought to our attention and some of the experiences that you have had in your manufacturing journey and some of the lean experiences you've had with Quickbase. So with that, I'd like my first question to go out to Jeremy. So prior to moving into lean practices, did you encounter any slow manual processes within the operations? And then how did that impact productivity?
Well, yeah, obviously in a long experience in manufacturing, there's a lot of slow processes, a lot of whiteboarding, a lot of just manual data collection, a lot of information that gets lost day to day. You write it on the board, it gets erased on the shop floor, and then it's gone. If people don't write it down, if that operator leaves, that information, that data is just gone forever. And so yeah, lots of instances, lots of examples of data loss, things like that.
I can certainly understand how frustrating that would be when you walk up to a whiteboard and somebody erased it from the day before. That's very frustrating for sure. So Gary, what are some of the lean manufacturing techniques or programs that you have seen when you're visiting all these manufacturing facilities?
It's rather interesting. I started out a long time ago learning about lean and wanted to write about it when I became a magazine editor. So about 20 years ago, I was the founding editor of a magazine focusing on automation technologies and applications. And I called a couple of lean practitioners and said, "Hey, I want to do some articles." And they said, "No, you're automation. We hate software. We hate automation. We hate all that. We're a manual process, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Oh, no. You don't understand. You need data to do good lean processes. Otherwise, what are you going to talk about?" And so what I've seen over my career, especially the last 20 years as a magazine editor and writer, is the continuing development of really good data tools and visualization to help people like Jeremy and David and many others to be able to put together a program and actually be effective. So, databases and I've been taking a really deep dive lately in Quickbase, that I've been learning some really cool stuff there. So a lot of tools. So don't disparage software, automation, control, and all that stuff. It all works together.
I totally understand that manufacturing, especially lean manufacturing, needs a lot of data. And appreciate that point of view for sure. Hey, Jeremy, so what are some of the pain points that you feel and some of your production supervisors feel from the floor? What exactly do you see that's providing or causing the most pain at this point in time?
Well, I think one of the big things is not having the data, in a real-time manner, right? So So if you've got to wait for that check sheet to make its way off the shop floor, that piece of paper, if you've got redundancy. So if a person has to enter a data in 3 or 4 different places, maybe there is a computer system for entering it. And then there's maybe an unofficial record. Maybe like I said, it's that whiteboard where you've got to jot something down. Maybe an engineer's got a project going on and they want to keep track of things. So you're entering the data in 3, 4, 5 different places, the same number, right? The same number of pieces I produced this shift, the same instances of downtime, the same quality defects. You get numb because you've got to repeat and enter that stuff in multiple different places. And then from the other side, whether it's an engineer or a production supervisor trying to find that data, right? And whether it's making sure that data is correct and consistent in all those places, or just finding it. Where did the person put it in? What board did they put it on? What chart did they update? Those kind of things. It's a waste of time trying to track all that stuff down.
I can completely understand the duplication of effort in trying to get all that taken care of on the multiple reports that a production supervisor has to fill out with the same information. Which brings me to my next question for David. What type of different tracking sheets and other reusable assets that you see that a supervisor has to manage on day-to-day for their tasking communications, if you want to expand upon what Jeremy just said?
Sure. Jeremy was completely correct. The amount of gray work that has to be done in the manufacturing is overboard. Looking at ways to improve it, the supervisor really doesn't have any control on what they track. Basically, what they're given is, I need this information. So they write it down. They share everything either by email or sheet, or in some cases putting it in the ERP system. But the ability for a supervisor not to be able to track the 15 things they have to track every day, and to have tools available so that they could actually eliminate this gray work, that's important for any manufacturing. Big data, whether it's a small company or a huge organization, having the ability to access that data in real time and to make a decision based upon it in real time is very important.
100% agree. Having the data at your fingertips is half of the battle, making sure that you have the right information at the right time. So 100% agree. So what type of technology is driving improvements to processes, and what are you seeing out there right now, Gary, for different data collection techniques?
We've been building and building and building on, that's the way technology goes. Okay, we build upon previous things. So with control and automation, we laid out, myriad sensors and ways to connect the sensors together, whether you're in factory automation or you do process control. Either way, it doesn't matter. You're bringing a lot of data through the sensors. Previously, we only used it to control the process, but we had the data. So then we did something called the Industrial Internet of Things. And everybody's jumping on that. Well, it was kind of the same thing, except people were bringing collection points in. So the PC makers started to do nice little data collectors and so on. Everybody jumps into edge devices that we can bring data in from manufacturing. Add this to like IT technologies. We gradually over time, and all of a sudden, poof, everybody's using Ethernet, which is a really cool networking strategy that connects what we euphemistically call OT with IT, because we're using similar technology. We can bring it together. Database technology has just grown by leaps and bounds over many years. And then the power of compute to take care of all that. And lately, there's been a ton of really, really good work in visualization to be able to show this data and filter it. The typical phrase is, I'm turning data into information so that Jeremy and David can use it, and their supervisors and so on like that. And lately, there's a lot of buzz around artificial intelligence, which we've been using for years. But generative AI is another buzzword, and really just view it as another tool. It's a tool that can help you find and make sense out of all the data that we're collecting. A lot of things coming together, And from a technologist standpoint of view, I think it's just way cool and very useful.
I appreciate that. I agree. There are large amounts of data that's coming in to make and create the story to act upon. So, David, you have all of this information that's coming in through an ERP system. It's coming in through all these devices that Gary is just talking about. How do you manage that? And then what is the biggest improvement since you started implementing Quickbase for dynamic work management, eliminating the gray work? What's the biggest improvement that you've seen so far?
For Unipres, we have 5 facilities in North America, and we really don't have a Ethernet cloud-based system. We've used Quickbase in order to connect all the facilities, to get information from the facilities, to share information from facilities, as well as suppliers. When we look at the ability to communicate and have the automations in place to send out information, to simplify the input that has to be put in to gather the data, it has streamlined our business. We in fact have created a change management application that facilities are using so that we can actually accomplish the task of verifying the change within 2 hours.
No, that's fantastic. So I guess you would say, just to recap on that, that the speed of the data to make these decisions is the biggest enhancement that you've seen.
Well, just like Gary was saying, the Internet of Things, all the systems that are coming together, it doesn't include everything that has to be done by the supervisor on the floor. So if you can combine the two, what's in the ERP system versus what is being collected on the floor, then you can make those decisions in real time and share that data and make the workflows to accomplish the tasks that need to be done in a timely manner.
I gotcha. No, it makes sense. So really comes down to, you have the data, we have the ability to utilize it and make decisions on the data, but how do you get people to adopt the data? And Jeremy, I know you kind of like, you've been working on this now for a few years, and you started off your whole Quickbase journey with your full couple applications, but what is the key questions that you kind of go through when you're developing an application?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is like you say, getting people to adopt it. And in Quickbase inherently, it's probably a different system. It's a different flavor than what we were using yesterday, right? And people inherently don't like change, right? And we know that. And you know, it's been proven people just are resistant to change. So trying to make it easy. The one big benefit I see with Quickbase is the speed. And again, it comes down to that speed, whether it's the speed of getting data, speed of making decisions. In this case, you know, I want to hit on the speed to evolve, right? And so if the operators, if the screen is too busy, right? If the input form is too busy, or it just doesn't work, or the workflow that you've set up is too complex and it doesn't work. If you've got a big ERP system that's managed by IT, right? To Gary's point, that can take, you know, a big ask to get that to change. Where Quickbase, with it being low code, no code, and being usually user developed, right? And subject matter expert owners, they can evolve it better. So in our case at NSK, we've got a lot of, you know, those first line manufacturing engineers and procurement members and people in the quality or EHS department that are the owners of the Quickbase apps. And so they're working, you know, boots on the ground with the users. And so they can evolve, they can pivot, they can respond to those questions, concerns. This chart isn't right. This form is too busy, make it easier. I don't know this information at this stage. I need it the next stage, right? So if there's a workflow, you know, and the person enters it, they don't know information at that point. It's when the quality guy comes out and reviews the situation, then they know how many pieces or the lot numbers or those kind of things. So trying to make sure that you can respond quickly to the user's needs, then they're they're engaged, right? And they can adopt it. And I said it before to a lot of my guys when I'm working and developing. If the people are complaining about it, and I use complaining in a nice way, if they're giving you feedback, they're using it, right? If they're not giving you feedback, then they're just ignoring it, right? It's something we've got to do because corporate says we've got to do it, and we put up with it, and we enter our data one time at the end of our shift or at the end of the week because that's a requirement. But if they're actively giving you feedback, email after Teams message after Slack message of fix this, adjust this, let's modify this, that's when you've got engagement
That's a really
and
good.
adoption.
No, that's an adoption. Yeah, no, that's some really good insight. I understand the whole complaining versus enhancements versus versus usability. So no, that's great. That's some great insight on that. So Gary, Jeremy just said one thing in here, which was I found very interesting. In your experiences, what are the key benefits of having a flexible and customizable manufacturing solution when it comes to the shop floor? What's your take on that?
I've sort of in my past life as a sales engineer for a while, trying to put things into use in my customers' plants. I'm with him like 100% that you put something in and you try to make it so usable and friendly. And I remember getting called by an engineer, and Gary, this doesn't work. And it's like, well, does it look like how I left it when I left? No. Well, let's go back. But in the 90s, it was really hard to do all that kind of stuff, and to everything had to be fixed so perfectly. And if they wanted me to come in and reprogram something, it was difficult. So the flexibility part really comes from the low code environment that I've been learning over the last couple of years, and the ability to come in. I had a process engineer from a huge consumer product company at a conference come to me. He said, Gary, if you could talk to the suppliers you talk to and tell them, please, please, please make it easier for us to train and install and apply, because it's just too darn complex too often. So people like you, Anthony, and people like that are making their products such that people like Jeremy and David could go in. And Jeremy told some offline a week or so ago some great stories about getting a request and said, well, give me a little bit of time, and and he was able to give some new visualization and new reports and so on. Those are so powerful for end users that are trying to get their work done, that don't have time to sit in a cube and hack code. So from a flexibility standpoint, boy, that's the software. You guys doing a good job, and that's the way to go. It's got to be great for the people actually using it.
David, why don't you tell us about your experiences in working with all the shop floor management data and the IT department? How is that working for you?
So I wholeheartedly agree with Gary. IT and the IT function is a world within itself. My company has 3 different ERP systems. None of them really none of them are really real time, they're near time. And when I first started implementing Quickbase, the responses from the facilities IT, so the ERP system can do it. I continued creating applications based upon what was needed on the floor. Mm-hmm. And after 3 years, there's a critical mass that happens when the floor says, I want this application, the ERP system can't do it, and then IT starts listening and working with you and mm-hmm. getting data out of the ERP system in real time so that we can actually run the business where the ERP systems fail. There's nothing like having a system that everyone has to use, and you either can't get data out of it or it won't even hold the data. So using Quickbase has allowed us at Unipres to become a more whole data stream within our organization.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I'm sure it was transformational once IT came on and started to understand the speed at which manufacturing can work now. So that's awesome.
Don't get me wrong, you know, IT is still IT. I manage the Quickbase platform, but they realize the benefit. The shop floor realizes the benefit of having to capture the data, putting the data in, and actually supplementing everything that needs to be done in a manufacturing environment. You know, in talking with Jeremy and listening to him today, it's like you have to implement something. Is it going to be an Excel spreadsheet? Hope not.
Right.
You work towards implementing it, getting the scope of work, building the application, trying to keep it as simple as possible for whoever is the end user, and then launch it. And, you know, take the time to launch it, and then take the time to change it, so it is actually usable by the facilities.
I agree. The evolution that was discussed earlier is key. But you did say something that I'd like to get Jeremy's opinion on. So the realm, the Quickbase instance, is actually being run by the operations teams, correct? So Jeremy, you're a separate organization from the IT organization. You're actually on part of the operations staff?
I came out of manufacturing. I spent 20 some years in manufacturing. And while I was there at the tail end, probably 2015 or 2016, we had to get things done. You know, you're tasked with jobs and responsibilities, and you have to figure out a way to get things done. And you could do it with Excel. I've done it with Excel. You can write macros. You can do things like that. And I stumbled across Quickbase and started using it. And I always joke that you know, Quickbase utilization at NSK is basically a heat map of where I've spent time working on projects or working in facilities. So in my Mexico plant, I spent some time there pre-COVID. They built a lot of apps, right? I spent some time in my Iowa factory. Pre-COVID, and they've got some apps. And then basically during COVID and since our headquarters in Ann Arbor, we've got, you know, a lot of growth and a lot of engagement in Quickbase. We have recently started engaging more and more with IT, both from a security, making sure that everything that we're doing is above board, and we're not putting in PII, right, personal identification information, or anything that could be at risk if it were to ever get loose in the wild. But IT is seeing benefit of bringing in some of those official, the ERP, the MES systems, those kind of things, and sharing with Quickbase, because like David said, there's a gap, right? So you've got your ERP, and it does the big things, the big picture things, but those day-to-day shop floor things, something happens on the shop floor, corrective action reports have to be done, action items have to be assigned, somebody sees something, safety observation that they need to have attention, a work order, something like that. The big ERP system, at least in my organization, doesn't cover those little nuanced things that you need to get done on the floor. And that's what we're using Quickbase to fill that gap. We could do it in a spreadsheet. We could do it through 5, 10, 15 different single-use softwares to fill that niche of, you know, asset management or work orders or, you know, whatever it is, right? Quality reporting, name the manufacturing problem. There's a software that solves that problem. We're using Quickbase across the entire bandwidth of all of those things to fill that gap between the ERP, the cloud layer, the big layer, the corporate wide layer, and the shop floor. And that's how we're using Quickbase.
Right. No, that's fantastic. So I would say that your heat map of where you've been is where you also are showing the most efficiency since you put Quickbase in place. Now, would that be a true statement?
You know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but yeah, we definitely, where where we have good solid footing, where you spend the time with your developers, right? Your process owners, and you spend that time developing it, working with the people on the shop floor, getting that engagement, you have the most adoption. And then it self, it starts building on itself, right? The people see this and they're like, gosh, could we use it for X, Y, or Z? Oh, well, yeah, heck yeah. And I mean, I had a call last week with Mexico and my Iowa facility, and they're like, could we use it for this? And I'm like, guys, you should know by now. The base answer is yeah, Quickbase can do it, right? Getting us there, right? Figuring out the exact problem, the exact solution that we want to do. We've got to develop that. We've got to grow that. But can it do it? Of course it can, right? In short. So yeah, the where you spend time, if you just fly in and you drop an app in their lap and say you've got to start using it and clap your hands and walk away, they're gonna go, who the heck is that guy? Why would I do that? But if you grow with them, if you're shoulder to shoulder with them on the shop floor, here's how you enter the data. And they're like, man, our hands are all greasy when we do this. Can we figure out a better way? Is there, if we could talk or, whatever, minimize the number of touch points on the screen. Can we do that? And you work with them and you find their process. That's what makes you successful. Yeah.
No, that's some really good insights, working shoulder to shoulder with the frontline operators for sure. So I know we're kind of nearing the end, so I'm going to ask one question to all three of you. So, what are you planning to tackle in the future, and then what are you going to use Quickbase and the data that it has to improve your processes? So, David, we'll start with you.
I have a huge task, the ability to connect all three different ERP systems and to provide the same KPI reporting that's required globally out of those ERP. It's going to be a huge task for me.
Well, that's fantastic. I wish you the best with that. I'm looking forward to seeing your progress on that for sure. Thank you. And Jeremy, what's your next task that you're going to be doing with Quickbase?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me in 2024, we've got about 15 facilities with distribution centers and manufacturing facilities, and we're going to standardize our safety reporting, our safety occurrences, some of those kind of things that the operators are currently doing on paper or in Excel files, or just scattered roughshod across the company. We're going to bring those into one place and make it easier for our corporate EH&S group and parent company in Japan to visualize and see that data.
That's fantastic. And Gary, we're gonna before we get into the question and answer period, we're going to end with you. What do you see? What do you think that the big tasks that like a no-code platform could handle in the future here?
Well, of course, I'm not a user, but I think I would just wrap up. I'm learning though, but I would just repeat what that corporate process engineer told me to ask of people like you. And I think you've heard it from the other panelists. Come out with a product that I can apply. I can train people. I can use it. I don't have to send people to huge schools and all that. That's your low code, no code kind of thing is fantastic, and just keep expanding it and going. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your time. These were some fantastic questions and answers. I appreciate all the insights and the stories that you've all shared together today. Like to say from Quickbase, thank you for participating. And we look forward to hearing some more insights on our questions and answers. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and let me share my story.
Thank you very much.